Structuralist linguistics in less than 2 minutes. Structuralist linguistics is a school of thought that believes we understand language due to the relationships between words. In other words, we don't understand things only for what they are, but also for what they are not. We understand words only because we are able to relate them to other words, thus forming structures or large networks of relationships between words. In 1917, a book by Ferdinand de Saussure was published called Course in General Linguistics. This revolutionized linguistics as a whole and brought structuralism into the mainstream, or at least the mainstream of linguistics. Ferdinand de Saussure was a Swiss linguist who lived from 1857 to 1913. He's the father of structuralist linguistics and to a large degree contemporary linguistics as a whole. In simple terms, structuralist linguists believe that a word is a sign. A sign is made up of a signifier and a signified. The signifier is a group of arbitrary sounds that we use to signify the signified. Another way of saying this is that the phonemes we use to create the signifier adhere to the principle of arbitrariness. For example, this object is called a guitar. The signifier is the word guitar. The signified is the physical object. The only reason that it's called a guitar and not something else is that society has agreed upon the name. In our personal networks of linguistic relations, we understand what is signified when the signifier guitar is used. The individual phonemes that come together to create the word guitar are arbitrary and could just as easily be something else. Saussure stated that, without language, thought is a vague, uncharted nebula. This is where structuralism begins to get even more interesting. Not only do structuralists believe that we only understand words through their relationships with other words, they also believe that our interpretation of the world is filtered through our native language. The Sapir-Whorf hypothesis, also known as linguistic relativity, argues that our perception is grounded in our language. However, our language also reflects our surroundings. An example of this is the use of the words beef and cow. While cow refers to an animal, the large spotty ones, beef refers only to the meat of that animal. This impacts our perception of beef. When you think of ordering beef, you think of the meat on your plate, not the animal. However, if we called beef cow meat, as it was called in Old English, we would more closely associate the food with the animal. The fact that we have different words for this is also reflective of the influence of speech communities. During the Norman Conquest in 1066, the higher class consumers of meat became influenced by the French and would use some French words. Therefore, the French bœuf started being used in English. However, while this was among the higher classes, the poor farmers who were raising the cattle still used the Old English cow. This means that the higher classes having exposure to French language influenced their language, thus influencing their perception. This is a reductive overview of the Sapir-Whorf hypothesis. Thanks for watching. This was Structuralist Linguistics in around 2 minutes, I think.